ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So after committing that offense of having sexual intercourse at abnormal time, now Diti is repenting, and at the same time she wants to protect the result of her act, unlawful act. So before this we saw Diti prayed to her husband that because her husband is a great devotee of Lord Shiva, so even though Lord Shiva may be angry with Diti, but he may be pleased with Kashyapa Muni, and thus he may forgive her unlawful act. Here again, in the next verse, Diti is trying to be excused by taking shelter of the relationship she has got with Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva is the husband of sister of Diti, Sati. So Diti is invoking the pleasure of Sati so that Sati could request her husband to excuse her. This is one important reason. She is saying that Lord Shiva may be pleased because he is my brother-in-law. And then she is also saying that Lord Shiva, he is worshipable Lord of all women, and therefore naturally he is very kind to the women. Why is he kind? Because he understands their frailty. He understands that they have a defective nature. So therefore, knowing this, Lord Shiva, who is very merciful, he will definitely excuse her. Because woman, being defective in nature, is excused even by a hunter, uncivilized hunter. So Lord Shiva is not some uncivilized person. He is a very merciful personality. So being very kind to women, being worshipped by women, he understands the nature, the defective nature of women. So definitely Lord Shiva will excuse me. So she is thinking like this, that she may be excused of her offense because of that. Then, in the next verse it is explained that how when Kashyapa Muni started addressing Diti was already afraid and she was trembling because of fear, knowing very well that I have offended not only Lord Shiva, I have offended my husband. And he was offering his evening prayers, and in spite of that, I dissuaded him from that and engaged him in unlawful act. So she is still thinking about the well-being of her children. Then, in the next verse, Kashyapa speaks to Diti, that Diti, you are expecting auspiciousness. But all the actions, whatever you have done, are all seeds of inauspiciousness. You have sown the seed of inauspiciousness. How are you expecting auspiciousness out of that? So Kashyapa Muni is giving 4 different inauspicious seeds sown by Diti. And Prabhupada explains these are very important. If we all want to have good population, then one must follow these 4 important considerations. First, Kashyapa says, Aprayatyaat Atmanaste. Aprayatyaat means polluted. Atmanaha here means mind. You have performed that action when your mind is contaminated with lusty desires. You had this unlawful act done when your mind was filled with lusty desires. Contaminated mind. Your mind was polluted with lusty desires. Next, Kashyapa Muni says, Doshan Muhurtikad Uta. Muhurta was also not good. This action you have performed, not only your mind was contaminated, the time itself was not auspicious. You should have seen time. Then, Mat Nideshat Aticharena. You did not follow the direction I gave. I told you time is not good. At this time, this time is meant for, all ghostly souls will be roaming around here and there. This is not a proper time. I gave direction. Mat Nidesha. Nidesha means directions, my orders. You did not follow. Devanam cha ati helanat. And you did not consider that you were indifferent to the devatas, that Lord Shiva may be offended, devatas will be offended by this kind of act. When we have got a responsible human form of life, we should act in a civilized way, following the rules and regulations. Otherwise, we are offending the devatas. So these are the 4 things you have done inauspiciously. So how do you expect auspicious result out of this? Is what Kashyapa is saying. The result will be inauspicious. What will be the result? The result will be that out of your unlawful act, your children who will be born, not only they will be born as Rakshasas, Asuras, they will create inauspiciousness for everyone. So this is very important, as you can see here. So Prabhupada is pointing this out in the purport. For there is a very simple relation. If we want to have peace and prosperity in the society, there must be good population. Sometimes when Lieutenant Mozi asked this question to Prabhupada, that how, in spite of so much advancement, where we have got so much of technology, where the police has got so much of technology that they can catch thieves and all those things, but in spite of that, we are seeing that crime is increasing more and more. So Prabhupada explained that your proposal is, it's just like, let us say you have one room, and in that room you fill the room with dogs, and then you are expecting that there will be peace in that room. So that is not possible. You see, after all, if they are animals like dogs, the nature of dogs is to bark. So, if there are dogs in a room and you are expecting that they will keep quiet, that is not possible. Even you may have the most advanced technology, everything. If you want to keep the consciousness of human being on the levels of dog, and you are expecting there will be peace and prosperity in the society, it is not possible. So, what is the requirement for peace and prosperity in the society is good population, not population with the mentality of dogs, mentality of animals. Then we cannot expect. So, Prabhupada says here in the very beginning of the purport, the conditions for having good progeny in society are that the husband should be disciplined in religious and regulative principles, and the wife must be faithful. So this is very important to have good progeny in the society. So good population, why it is required? Because unwanted population, they will only create problem. Good population, they will maintain peace and prosperity, and they will advance towards spiritual life, which is the goal of human form of life. So that's why good population is required. So then Prabhupada is explaining that when one has a progeny in that direction as per the religious principles, that is representation of Krishna. Which is that verse in Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada is saying, when one has progeny in the society as per the religious principles, then that is representation of Krishna consciousness. Adharma, dharma aviruddho kamosmi. Krishna says that lust which is not against the religious principles, that is me. So what was here against the religious principle is, as pointed out by Kashyapa Muni, there was no consideration of time, the mind was polluted, the mind was lusty, there was no consideration of time. Third, did not follow the directions given by husband. In that sense, he is acting like a spiritual master for Diti. Did not listen to the direction given by her husband. Fourth, she did not consider whether devatas, other higher superior authorities will be pleased with these actions or not. These are very important. Out of them, specifically, even if the mind was lusty, everything was there, if she had heard the direction given by her husband, that would have been very, very beneficial. Our condition is similar to Diti, that we are all contaminated in our consciousness. We have no understanding of what is right, what is wrong. Under these circumstances, actually if we follow the directions given by the spiritual master, then even if we are born in inauspiciousness, even if all our actions are filled with inauspiciousness, everything under the direction of the spiritual master can become auspicious. So that is very, very important. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he explains through one story about that how if one does not follow the directions given by the spiritual master practically, then we are endangering our spiritual life. So he gives one very beautiful example, that there was once, near to the forest, there was one palace of one king. So the king had a very beautiful garden. In that garden there were a lot of beautiful trees filled with fruits and vegetables, everything was there, available in that garden. The king, he also had one horse stable. A lot of horses were there because he was a king, so he used to have beautiful horses, and he was very fond of his horses. And then he also had one small, place for sheep. So there were sheep and there were beautiful gardens and there is a stable for the horses. And there were few monkeys who were in the nearby forest. So in spite of direction given by the wise old monkey, the younger monkey did not heed to the direction given by this wise monkey. And they left their habitat of forest and they migrated, all of them migrated to this garden. And they started eating fruits, they started eating vegetables. Somehow the princess also liked that these monkeys are coming and they are taking the fruits, everything. So she did not chase them away. And all of them became addicted to eating nice fruits, everything. One day, this wise monkey, he visited and he saw what is happening. And he saw one phenomenon which is happening constantly, which is very dangerous to them. He saw that the sheep, one of the sheep is very mischievous. And this mischievous sheep, what he does, in the kitchen nearby, he goes and enters into the kitchen. And the cooks who are cooking there, he goes and disturbs them, trying to eat something away. So sometimes they become very angry at him and they try to chase him. And sometimes they take one stick, burning stick, and they try to chase him. So this old wise monkey, he was very wise. So he saw that this phenomenon is practically happening every day. So he went and advised the young monkeys. He said, this is going to be a troublesome for you. I am advising you, leave this garden immediately, go back to your old habitat, go back to the forest, you will be safe there. It is going to be dangerous for you. So they started laughing. What are you saying? We should leave this beautiful, nice feast which we are getting every day here. We are getting nice fruits here, everything. And the princess likes us so much. You want us to give up all these things? We are old. Your buddhi has gone, become little weak, looks like. So even though he was explaining that actually what is going to happen, he explained to them the phenomenon. That this sheep, they are creating a problem in the kitchen. And the cooks sometimes out of anger, they are running with burning stick behind them. So sometime it may happen, they may hit the sheep with burning, and they have got wool on their body, and the wool will start burning immediately. And once the wool starts burning, immediately next door to this kitchen is the stable of the horses. So what this will do? It will go and try to go to the hay, all that grass, everything, it is lying there, and it will start rolling in order to, get out of this burning. And the moment it rolls on the hay, what will happen? The hay will start burning. And once the hay starts burning, then these horses will get injured, their flesh will burn. And I have heard that there is no other cure for the horse's burning skin apart from the flesh and skin of a monkey being applied by the veterinary doctor. So I am telling you, if this is going to happen, you will be killed and your skin will be taken to be applied to these horses. So they did not heed. And at one fine day, the same thing happened. One fine day, the cooks, they were very angry at this disturbing ship. They ran with a burning wooden stick and they hit the sheep with that, and the sheep started burning. And with that burning, he went to the horse stable and it started rolling on the hay, and the hay started burning, and immediately few of the horses died and a few horses got injury. Immediately the king called the veterinary doctor, and the veterinary doctor suggested that if you want your horses to be cured, then you must kill those monkeys, bring their skins and apply it. Otherwise it is not possible. And we can see finally what happened. These monkeys went with finally they met their disastrous end. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that actually the spiritual master's wise words must be taken. We should follow the direction given by the wise spiritual master. So we can all understand in our case also that even though practically everything is inauspicious for us, we have sown a lot of seed of inauspiciousness in our life. Right from our birth, our mind is contaminated with lusty desires, our mind is contaminated, polluted, everything. But somehow or other, if we take the direction of the spiritual master and if we follow his words, our life can become purified. Prabhupada explains very beautifully from Sanatana Goswami that even though our life is filled with inauspiciousness, because none of us are practically born in Brahminical family in that sense. Even though we are born in Brahmana's family, according to Kali Yuga, everyone should be considered as Shudra. Why? No one has followed. Anyone has followed all these principles. Kashyapa Muni is giving here 4 very important directions. Are we following the time? Anyone who is born with proper time, Garbhadana Samskara was done, Devatas are pleased or not pleased, all these rules were. These considerations practically are not observed in Kali Yuga. That's why Kali Yuga, in one shot, the Vedic literatures are saying there is no Brahmana, there is no Kshatriya, there is no twice born. Kalau Shudra Sambhavan. For namesake, somebody is calling himself Brahmana, but actually because these reformatory processes are not done, the whole population is Shudra, on the level of Shudra. So what happens, Prabhupada explains, Vedic Diksha cannot be given to Shudra. Actually speaking. In reality also, if you see, the Diksha, Vedic Diksha was given to whom? Vedic Diksha was given to Vaishyas, it was given to Kshatriyas, and it was given to Brahmanas. These 3 were called twice born. Out of them, Brahmanas were called Dvijashrestha. Those who are twice born, out of them, Brahmanas are called Shrestha, of the twice born. So only these 3 classes were twice born. For others, for Shudras and lower than Shudra, no question of Diksha. So there was no Diksha given. They were only once born. They should only follow the direction of these Dvijas, and then gradually they will elevate themselves. So actually speaking, according to Vedic conception, we cannot be twice born. There is no possibility. But then, Sanatana Goswami, he gives one formula. Prabhupada says, this is a formula. He gives one formula that if we apply this formula, there is a possibility we can be twice born. How this is possible? So Sanatana Goswami explains this. He says, Yatha kanchanantam yati kamsyam rasa vidhanataha. Just like Kanchan. Kanchan means gold, and Kamsyam means it is bell metal, copper. So there is a process in Rasayan Shastra, in chemistry, alchemy, which what you can do, this bell metal, if it is mixed in proper proportion with mercury, till today actually science has not discovered, but actually there is a process. If somebody can do that with proper combination of bell metal and mercury in proper combination at proper temperature and pressure, if they can be mixed, gold can be produced. So Sanatana Goswami is giving the example, both mercury as well as that bell metal, they are base metal, they are not pure metal. But with certain combination, under certain conditions, if they fulfill, then it can become pure gold. See, beautiful example is given by Sanatana Goswami. So similarly, he says, Sanatana Goswami says, similarly, if a bona fide spiritual master properly initiates even a Shudra or a Chandala by Diksha, by giving him proper Diksha, by Diksha Vidhana, even a Shudra or a Chandala, he can become twice born. And the example he is giving is that even though it's a base metal, but if it is properly mixed with mercury under proper conditions, then it can produce gold. Similarly, even one may be born as a Shudra, one may be having, all our life may be filled with inauspiciousness. But if we are properly trained under the spiritual master, if we become properly initiated by bona fide spiritual master, then we can become Brahmins. So, he says, Tatha Diksha Vidhanena Dijatvam Jayate Niranam. Similarly, if proper Diksha Vidhana is followed, then the bona fide spiritual master has got a potency by which he can turn the Shudra-like personality into twice born. And how is that process? The Diksha is given by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, Prabhupada explains in one beautiful purport, not in purport, it's a lecture on one of the verses of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna talks about, where Arjuna talks about Varna Shankara. So in that purport, Prabhupada talks about that practically in Kali Yuga, everything is topsy-turvy. Everything is, everyone is, the whole population is Varna Shankara. But by chanting, by being initiated into the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, one can become purified. So Prabhupada explains how it is possible. Prabhupada says, what happens by this Garbhadana Samskar actually? What happens is, from the beginning the care is taken that the person is purified. From the very beginning it is taken care. Right from the beginning, mind should be, in proper consciousness, and one should be desiring a good son, good progeny. One should be remembering the spiritual master, all those things. By this following the principles of Garbhadana Samskara, by following thread giving ceremony, marriage ceremony, Dasha Vidha Samskara, what is happening is the soul is purified gradually of the contaminations. Now Prabhupada is saying this step-by-step process, nobody is following in Kali Yuga. And it is not practical also. Right? It is not practical. So Prabhupada gives the example. Prabhupada says, but by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a very potent process is given by which immediately, without following from one step to another, immediately the soul can be purified of all contaminations. And that is by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Prabhupada quotes the verse from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. You see, the very first thing what happens when we chant the holy name of the Lord is the soul is become purified of the contaminations. You see? We are seeing all contamination begins with contamination in the mind, right? When the lusty desires are in the mind, then automatically no question of following the direction, no consideration of time, all those things happen. But here we are seeing, when we chant the holy name of the Lord, the first thing what happens is contamination starts getting removed. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam shreya kerava chandrika vitaranam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains our life becomes filled with auspiciousness. Shreya kerava chandrika vitaranam. You see? So, I'll just read that portion which Prabhupada says. The Vedic culture means to cleanse the heart and make him perfect. Brahma Bhuta, perfectly spiritualized. That is Vedic culture. Now everything is topsy-turvy. Therefore, by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has simply recommended Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. Only chant. Result will be Cheto Darpana Marjanam. The same result as the Vedic culture will introduce, will purify the heart to understand one's position. By chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, the same position will come. It is so nice. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vraje. Therefore, then Prabhupada is saying, there is no question of being depressed, that we do not belong to this, we do not belong to that. Prabhupada is saying, do not be thinking, I do not belong to Brahmana family, I do not belong to this higher caste or this or that. Prabhupada is saying, don't be under depression. Whatever it is, simply chant, you will be purified. That is Krishna consciousness. That is what Prabhupada is saying in today's purport also, that even though it is Varna Shankara population today, because practically nobody follows the principle what Kashyapa Muni is saying here, but in spite of that, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we simply introduce this chanting of the holy name of the Lord everywhere, the whole population will become civilized. Prabhupada is saying, now we are on animal platform. Varna Shankara population means asuras. You see, Prabhupada is saying earlier there were only 2 or 3 asuras, right? Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, like that, Ravana or Kamsa. Very few asuras were there. Now, practically, just you can imagine Prabhupada is saying, few principles were neglected and these big asuras were born. Today, practically where is the principle? Nobody follows the principle. So the whole population is filled with asuras. So the only method to once again make them civilized human being is to introduce this chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So we'll stop with this. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.